NTV, turning on your world.
Welcome to another episode of Tizi Nyumbani. My name is Evelyn Ola and I'll be your host for today. And today we're gonna hit legs and back. Yes, we need good legs and the back flap is gonna go. So wake up. Wake up guys, it's time to start your day with new energy. We are on a new normal. Hapa Tizi Nyumbani, kazi tu, and then you get to sweat and just feel good about yourself, endorphins up, and you're ready for your day. Get yourself water bottles. I have 5 liters. You can get 10 if you feel energetic, or if you have less, it's fine for today. And we're gonna use that for our workout. So we're going to do back and legs for today. I'll give you 30 seconds because I've been talking for 1.5 minutes and it takes us 2 minutes to prepare. So 30 seconds starting now. We're going to start our warm-up. 30 seconds from now we're going to start our warm-up. Did you go out for a run before this? I don't know, but here I just woke up. But hey guys, I just woke up and I'm trying to get a workout in so that my endorphins are up and my energy is up. I can see you already bringing the stuff. You're bringing the water bottles, you're bringing the chair, and you've set up already. We have 3 more seconds to go before we start our warm-up, right? Our time's up. So we're going to do 3 sets of warm-up as usual, 3 sets. So we're going, because today we're training legs, we're gonna make sure we feel those joints are feeling good, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do 20 of that times 3 for our warm-up today. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2 on your toes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and of course 20. And then in between we're going to jump 1. All right, so we're going to do 15 of those. Meanwhile, if you can't jump, just do that, go down, do that, go down. All right, yes, you got the hang of it. And if you can't properly squat, you're gonna lose balance, or maybe you have knee surgery and you're not comfortable squatting, just do that, sit down, do that, sit down. Yes, we got you. So let's go. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, squat, 12, 13, 14, and of course 15. Our 30 seconds rest time starts now. Our 30 seconds rest time starts now. Can sip some water. Don't sit down, walk around. Don't sit down. We have 5 more seconds. 5 more seconds, 2, 3, and time's up. Let's go. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On your toes. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and of course 20. Then we go for the jumping one. 15, remember, If you can't jump, you'll be here next to your seat and you do that. 1, 2, 3. All right, up to 20. All right, but if you can jump, we'll jump, squat, and then, you know, box through. 1, 2, 3, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, yes. I said 15. You didn't listen to that. So let's go. 30 seconds rest time starting now. We have one more set. One more set. One more set to go. 15 more seconds. Breathe in and out. One more set and out. Good. All right. The secret is don't sit down. The secret is don't sit down. All right. The time's up, so let's go again. Hold your waist. 1, 2, 3, move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and of course 20. Well done. Well done, well done. Remember, we are doing the jump and box. 1, 2, 3, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, again, I caught you on that. All right. Your rest time sets now. Walk around. Walk around, walk around. Walk around. Breathe in and out. In and out. So our rest time's up. We're going to do a combo of a deadlift. So you bend with the weight. When you get there, pull for the row and then stand. All right. So we're going to do 15 repetitions times 4. If you are uncomfortable, you get yourself close to a place where you can take your leg, you know, like that. If that bend is uncomfortable, just sit down and roll. Then up. So you come, sit down, roll, and up. You know, sit down and roll, then up. All right. But if you can go through the deadlift, let's do this. I have 2 5-liter water bottles, which is an equivalent of 5, which will be around 10 kilos. But if you have heavier weight, it's okay to use them, right? So long as you can pull them, they can be challenging, but within your limits. All right, so let me grab my weight. 1, 2, remember your back must be straight, all right? So don't do this, don't do that. Remember your back must be straight and firm to hold your body frame so that you don't get any back injury from your workout, especially if you're lifting a heavier weight. You are likely to pull your back and you don't want that. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and one more. 15. Well done, well done. You need amazing. We need 30 seconds of rest starting now. 30 seconds of rest starting now. Walk around. So we are working our legs and back today. So we don't want this flap here, you know, and we're trying to get this, all that, you know, train, and also this, yeah. Time's up, let's go for the next set. Next set, grab your weight, make sure your frame is straight, lock your backbone so that your body has enough strength, draw strength from the abs and back. 1, 2, 3, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and one more. 15. Well done. Well done, well done. Your rest time starts now. The rest time starts now. Your rest time starts now. 20 more seconds to go. Walk around. Rest time starts now. Time's up. We're going for our last set. Time's up. We're going for our last set. One, 2, 3, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and one more, 15. Well done. You did an amazing job. Your rest time starts now. Your rest time starts now. You have 20 more seconds. Walk around. Walk around, walk around. All right. We're doing well so far. We're doing well so far. If you're like me, you're already sweating. The body is already appreciating that we are here to start on this new normal. All right. Our rest time's up. Rest time's up. So we'll be now doing our next workout. Our next workout, I'll demonstrate. We'll demonstrate our next workout. So let me see if we have any pictures. No. Thank you. So we're going to you squat, then you pull the weight to the front and bring it back. 1. Squat, take it to the front and pull it back. Make sure when you pull it back, you squeeze your back. So if you can't be in a squatted position and do that, you can as well sit. So you sit down, take it to the front, bring it back and stand. All right. So we are going to do 15 times 4. So we are going to combine that. When you take it to the front, we're going to, when you squeeze it back, make sure you're squeezing your rear back, the rear shoulder area and the back. And also when you squat, we're working our legs. So basically make sure you stick out your bum, make sure you get a nice squeeze right there. So our rest time is over. We're going to start. We're going to do 15 times 4. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, and go. 1, 2, 3. Hold your core tight. 4. Squats are flat foot. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and one more, 15. Well done. Well done, well done. Our rest time starts now. Rest time starts now. Rest time starts now. Walk around. Hydrate. Keep walking, keep walking. Walk around. We have 10 more seconds to go. Remember, our rest time is 30 seconds. Our rest time is 30 seconds. And perfect. Next set. Remember, we're doing 3 sets. We're going for set number 2. 1, 2, 3, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and of course 15. Well done. Set number 2 down. Set number 2 down. Your rest time starts now. Set number 2 down. You're doing amazing, amazing, amazing. Set number 2 down. Walk around, walk around. Make sure when you pull the weight, you squeeze that back. All right. You squeeze that back. We're trying to maximize. You maximize with what you have at home. Remember, for a weight, if you don't have a water bottle, you could as well use a plate. You know, just find something that has some weight that you can use. All right. Until you get the actual water bottle weight. Time's up. We're going for set number 3. Are you ready? Set number 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 4 more. Keep going. 12, 13, 14, 15. Well done, well done. If you did that workout with me to set number 3, you did an amazing job. Well done. Your rest time starts now. Well done, well done. All right, breathe in and out. Hydrate. Ten more seconds to go. The next workout we're going to do, basically if you have probably a back injury, you might not be able to properly execute it. So you'll excuse you because you've done amazing with the rest. But I'm going to demonstrate Supermans and how we're going to do it, all right? For the next 3 sets of 12, we want to make sure we're squeezing our bum, squeezing our back, all right? All right, so we're going to do Supermans. Basically, they look like you are a Superman. Let me wipe down my sweat. You look like a Superman. Wow, that's it. So, you're gonna be here. Your arms are out like that. You lift your leg, lift your arm, then pull. 1. So that is 1. We're going to do 12. Then you go back and put your head down. All right. Starting now. 1, 2, 3, and go. 1, 2. With your bum. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and of course 12. Well done, well done. We have 2 more sets to go. That 2 more sets, we're trying to work that lower back and those glutes, you know. Our rest time starts now. Our rest time starts now. We have 2 more sets to go. You're doing so well so far. You're doing amazing, amazing, amazing. We have 15 more seconds. 10 more seconds. 5 more seconds. Get to the ground. Get to the ground. And time's up. Time's up. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, and move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and one more. 12. Well done, well done. Well done. Our rest time starts now. We have 30 more seconds to go. 30 more seconds with one set of that workout. By now you should feel your bum, your lower back. You know, we're trying to work it out to avoid that lower back flap. And our time's up. Our time's up. All right, one last set of that workout. One last set. One last set. One last set. 1, 2, 3, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and of course 12. If you did that with me for all the 3 sets, clap for yourself because you did an amazing job. If you did that, the rest time starts now. So we're going to do one set. One, yes, I said one. One set of what we call a finisher. We'll do jumping lunge, lunge, squat. So what I mean is this: lunge, lunge, squat. All right, we're just going to do one set. Well, you can do more. You can do more, but we're going to do just one set. You can continue and do the 2 other sets since we are running out of time, but I wanted us to do this finisher for this workout. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, keep going, 9, lunge, 10, I'm even going slow, 11, and one more, 12. Well done if you did that, well done. That's it from here at Tizi Nyumbani. My name is Evelyn Owala of Eval Health and Fitness. Until our next episode, have a lovely day. Go out there and conquer this day. You conquered your workout. Bye-bye.
mikono sasa. Nawa mikono sasa. Nawa mikono sasa. Nawa mikono sasa. Unawajua mikono ni mojawapo ya njia bora zaidi ya kukukinga dhidi ya magonjwa na ya kukufanya uwe na afya kwa mwaka mzima.
As a news director, you also need to put a lot of consideration when it comes to preventing the spread of the coronavirus, especially here in the All right. Yes, and I think that's what I learned. When you do get a sneeze or you feel like coughing, take a tissue paper, put it on your mouth and in front of your nose and sneeze into it, then roll it down and throw it in your trash can.
This is NTV.
Hello, East Africa, and welcome to your world. The COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted every area of our lives, from work, business, worship, and schooling to relationships. It's also changed what many of us eat and where we get it from. And that's the main focus of our program today, food and farming. Good morning. My name is Joseph Warungu, and coming up this morning, we show you how you can make nutritious meals if you're living with underlying conditions. An Israeli firm is looking to put locusts on the menu. We focus on this ultra-modern vertical farm in the middle of the desert. What is it all about?
It's already available now.
South Africa's ban on alcohol and tobacco products has been lifted again. And this morning, we're asking you, has your diet changed due to the pandemic? What are you eating and what foods are you actually growing, if at all? Now send us a 1-minute video of what is in your farm or on your dinner table. Our WhatsApp line is at the bottom of your screen. Or you can share the video on our hashtag #NewNormal. But first, an update on how the spread of the new coronavirus around the world. And these are the numbers as at the moment. Globally, 22,579,095 people have been confirmed positive for COVID-19. Of these, 15,301,255 have recovered, while 791,002 people have so far lost their lives as a result of the disease across the world. South Africa is the country with the highest numbers in Africa. 596,060 people in South Africa have been confirmed positive for COVID-19. Of these, 491,441 have so far recovered, while in South Africa they've sadly lost 12,423 people as a result of COVID-19. In our own nation, this is the picture 31,015 people confirmed positive so far. 17,612 have so far recovered, while as at this moment, we've lost 506 people in Kenya. Some of our neighboring countries, these are the numbers in Uganda. 1,656 people confirmed positive for COVID-19. 1,188 have recovered, and 16 people have so far died in Uganda. Moving on to Somalia, 3,265 people confirmed positive. 2,396 have so far recovered. 93 people in Somalia have passed on. And in Rwanda, this is a situation. 2,644 people confirmed positive. 1,698 have recovered. 10 people in Rwanda have so far been reported to have died from COVID-19. And finally, in Burundi, the other East African nation, 422 people confirmed positive. 336 have so far recovered. One person is reported to have died as a result of the disease in Burundi. Now, I look at some of the other stories making headlines this morning. Morning traffic on Independence Square, a site of opposition protest in the Malian capital of Bamako, after a military coup which overthrew embattled President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. Mali's president said Wednesday he had resigned to avoid bloodshed after he was detained in a military coup, whose leaders pledged new elections to resolve a spiraling political crisis in the fragile West African nation. Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta's government had been beset by months of protests over economic stagnation, corruption, and a brutal Islamist insurgency that has claimed thousands of lives. Rebel soldiers took Keïta and Prime Minister Boubou Cissé into custody on Tuesday afternoon and drove the pair to a military base on the outskirts of Bamako, which they had seized that morning. Jubilant crowds were already gathered in the capital to demand Keïta's resignation and cheered the rebels as they made their way to the 75-year-old's official residence. Keïta seemed calm as he appeared in a state television broadcast soon after midnight to declare the dissolution of the government and National Assembly, and said he had no choice but to resign with immediate effect. If it pleased certain elements of our military to decide this should end with an intervention, do I really have a choice? He said of the day's events. I must submit to it because I don't want any bloodshed. South Africa lifted the ban on cigarette and alcohol sales almost 5 months after it had come into effect, and the country had imposed a strict nationwide lockdown to stem the spread of the virus. Yes.
And I changed.
The ban has been lifted, and it's already available now. Me personally, as a smoker, I'm happy. I'm happy because there was in this lockdown, there was a lot of, illegal cigarettes going around, brands that we didn't even hear of before.
It was quite unnecessary. I can't see how this can impact the coronavirus epidemic in any case. None of the other countries were on lockdown, was on bans with regards to alcohol and cigarette sales.
Well, I had to come and buy some wine for my missus before she killed me because she's suffering serious withdrawal symptoms.
Now that's South Africa. Here, a Form 1 student in Okatekok village in Nambale, Busia County is making good use of his time at home. The Friends School Kamusinga student has started growing collard greens, commonly known as kumawiki, that he says are a great source of income and an activity that occupies his time. The young man, who's only spent 3 months in high school, is making at least 500 shillings a day in his new enterprise. He has urged other students to find alternative and meaningful activities to engage in while at home, as schools remain closed. He recommends farming as it is the backbone of the Kenyan economy.
Shamba hii sio yangu, nilimwomba babangu ili nianze ukulima, naye akanipa. Nami hapa imekuwa ni kama kitega uchumi sasa kwa sasa. Hapa nafanya Ukulima yangu napanda hapa sukuma yangu, wateja wanakuja kila siku, siwezi kosa shilingi 500 kwa siku. Shamba ni kazi ambayo hautaji kwenda shule ndio uambiwe, hautaji kwenda shule, hautaji kuwa na certificate, hautaji kuwa na cheo ya kuanza ukulima. Hii ni kazi tu ambao unaamua tu.
Bila shaka ni kiongozi wa siku za usoni. Now, the resumption of movement into and out of Mombasa County has brought relief to many farmers in Gotani Village, Kaloleni constituency, Kilifi County, who sold their produce in Mombasa County. On the other hand, Kitui County is characterized by falling food production, low resilience to climate change, rapidly growing population and water scarcity. The combined effects of climate change and rapid population growth are increasing food insecurity, environmental degradation and high poverty levels. Nuru Abdulaziz reports.
It is evident that this farmer, who is a member of Omani Farmers, is satisfied with the progress of rearing improved kienyeji chicken. According to Omani Farmers, the relaxing of the cessation of movement into and out of Mombasa County has breathed life into farmers in Getoni Village, Kilifi County. Alfred Zero, the Secretary General to the 25-member farmers group, said they had conducted market research and had it not been for the coronavirus, their farming enterprise will have alleviated their poverty levels.
Mambo ya corona ilianza tarehe 16 mwezi wa 3. Tayari tulikuwa tumepata cheki. Na tulikuwa tayari tumekaa mpaka tumeamua tuanzishe mradi wa kuku.
For some time now, many farmers in the neighboring county had to devise ways to stay afloat during the cessation of movement due to the surging cases of coronavirus diseases in Mombasa County and the country at large.
Yani lazima kulipwa. Na hata tukiangalia sahihi vile ilivyo ni mzigo mkubwa sana kuona kwanza hata wanakikundi sahihi kuonekana mna mikutano kama hii inakuwa ni vigumu sana. Kwa hivyo naomba serikali ikiwezekana itusaidie.
Meanwhile, in Mwingi, Kitui County, small-scale farmers are urging the government to help them enhance food security in production of crops and livestock. The combined effects of climate change and rapid population growth are increasing food insecurity, environmental degradation, and high poverty levels in the area. Recurring droughts have diminished water supply, rendering many rivers seasonal and drying them completely. This has led to the decrease in food production and supply.
For the next 5 years, ninatarajia kuona small-scale farmers wakiwa katika mstari wa kwanza katika food security, kwa sababu tukiangalia vizuri tunaona ukulima katika nchi yetu ya Kenya over 70% ni small scale farmers. Lakini tunaona serikali sana sana inazingatia tu mambo ya irrigation na large scale farmers.
The farmers are also urging the government to cushion them against the effects of economic contraction occasioned by COVID-19, desert locust invasion and bad weather. Kitui County is characterized by falling food production, low resilience to climate change, rapidly growing population and water scarcity. Nuru Abdulaziz, NTV.
So welcome again to the program, and our discussion this morning is centered around the most important thing perhaps after oxygen, which is food, and also farming. And I've got guests who know something about food and the growing of it this morning. Starting here in the studio, Caleb Karuga, who is a former journalist, but a farmer. He insists I call him a former, but I know journalists never ever retire. We're also joined by Agnes Kirabo, Executive Director of Food Right Alliance, who will be joining us from Uganda. We have in our next door studio, Stella Kimani, who is a nutritionist, who will also be, and you can see she's surrounded by familiar things. She'll tell us what that is all about. And also all the way from Uasin Gishu, Moiben Village, Ruth Kemboi, a farmer there, will be joining us to tell us about the experiences of farmers in that region. And we will also be joined by Lois Njoki, a rice farmer and a miller in Mwea, talking about rice and other things. First of all, to you, Caleb, welcome to your world.
Thank you.
Now, before we get into farming and all that, during this pandemic, has your diet changed in any way?
Not really, because I've been growing my own food for the last 10 years, so it hasn't changed at all.
So what do you eat?
I eat traditional vegetables, kumawiki, spinach, managu, terere, I do a lot of chicken, kienyeji, because I grow them, I rear them rather. And now we are going into fish farming.
Wow,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All, and not too far from Nairobi?
All in my farm.
Okay.
In Kitui, yeah.
Sawa sawa. Stella, good morning and welcome to your world.
Good morning.
Now, again, you're a nutritionist, so but I still need to ask you the question whether your diet has been affected by the pandemic in any way.
I would say yes, because normally, of course, I do try to eat well as a nutritionist, but then there are those nutrients that you would need more when you know there's something that could compromise your immunity. So I would say it has slightly changed, yes.
Okay. Now, Caleb, you are a former journalist. How did you get into farming?
I got into farming. I used to cover stories around Kenya and of the country, and I would see what farmers were going through. You'd put a mic on their face and they would say, tunaomba serikali. I had that from 2007 to 2013. And if you go across the country in Uganda, if you go to Rwanda, the problems are the same. And I thought, if I'm going to get into farming, what narrative will I carry forward? I can't complain about the same things that my parents were complaining, my grandparents were complaining. So I sought to change the narrative. Number one is farming is for the poor. Farming is for the uneducated. Farming is for retirees. I think that's very wrong. There are many young people who have embraced farming. So the switch from journalism to farming was more actually a hobby, because I love farming, but more to change that narrative that farming actually pays.
Not many people like to get their hands dirty, so to speak.
Yes, so to speak. But there was a new agrarian revolution that was taking place back in 2012, 2013. So a lot of young people, we got into farming with the expectation that you're going to make millions overnight. And at that time, there was a quail craze that was going on. Pyramid scheme, actually.
I remember that.
Yes, I'm a victim. And we got into rabbit farming. We got into so many things because television, if you go on YouTube, if you go everywhere, everybody was hyping agriculture. It was made to look cool. There was that cool tag around farming. But over the years, I've been farming for 10 years. I will probably be a bit careful to say farming is cool to someone who's getting into it. I would rather expose them to the good, the bad, but mostly the ugly of farming so that they get to know what they're getting themselves into.
Okay, I'll come to the good, the bad, and the ugly in a moment. And to you, Stella, have you done any farming apart from advising us what we should eat?
I would say I'm one of those mobile farmers who do farming from Nairobi through the phone. So that might not be as effective, but of course at home we do have a farm that has several crops. And in my own home in Nairobi, I do try to do a bit of urban farming in pots, like flower pots. Those are a great avenue you can use to do a bit of vegetable farming. So I do a little bit of farming, yes. Probably not as extensive as Caleb does, but some sort of it, yes.
Are you able to grow enough to sustain you from a flower pot, essentially?
Honestly, no. No, because one, again, I have not maybe taken to advantage of it as effectively as I would. Maybe instead of using a small flower pot, Caleb can advise us on other methods. We can use maybe a sack or a gunia like I saw being done in Kibera some time back. So, but I think it's doable. I have seen it being done in informal settlements. So I think it's possible to actually do it. Personally, I have done it to some extent, but I would say it's not as effective. Something like carrots that I have here, I would not say I've grown this on my balcony yet. So I guess it's something that we all need to think about, and I think COVID has made us really think about that conversation.
And talk about COVID. I know many parents who've stood in front of their children almost with a big stick saying, you have to finish the vegetables. Until COVID came along, we've transformed, we've changed, haven't we, with the pandemic?
Right, and I think well, the pandemic may not be the best thing we would have hoped for, but I think there are a lot of positives that have come with it, and improved nutrition is one of it. I think in the recent past, you wouldn't have heard about even the government talking much about nutrition and guidelines about nutrition for the general public. But you know, with COVID, apart from our homes, now we even have the government coming in and telling its citizens, look, the only way we are going to have a chance of not flooding our hospitals and being effectively having the body being enabled on its own to fight disease, because that's the work of the immune system, is to actually provide it the nutrition it needs, because essentially the human being is basically made up of nutrients, if you were to put it just candidly. We are just blocks of food. Yeah, so I think then COVID has just made us go back to the basics of what our healthcare system is, from moving from a more curative side of it, which is the farmer, the PHARMA, to moving now towards the basics, the farmer, like Caleb, FARMER. So I think disease may not be the best thing, but it helps us have certain conversations and you know, have a mindset about who we really are. And who we really are is just, you know, beings that are made up of nutrients, and we need to be cognizant of that if you're to fight disease.
Okay, now let me turn to Caleb. For the entire world, COVID is really bad news. It's terrible news, but I suspect it's not so bad as far as you're concerned.
I'll be really honest with you. And too bad for those people who are suffering from COVID, especially those people who lost their lives, those people who are in hospital at home, too bad for them. And I pray for them that they will get well. But for business, in agriculture, for me, has been awesome. I have never received so many phone calls from March to date, as we speak, because people are now at home. And people are looking at the plot they had bought somewhere in Kamulu, Joska, Ruai, whatever. They are wondering, okay, now, income has either been slashed or there's no income at all. What can I do? I like that now people are looking inwards. Solutions are now amongst us. So we've seen a rise in very, very many people who are now into either chicken farming, into vegetable farming, like what Stella is saying, in their own balconies. We have stopped the over-reliance of importing as basic things as potatoes. We're importing onions. Now people are planting kitunguu ya majani, this spring onion, and I love that. That's the beautiful thing about Kenyans. We innovate quickly. Whenever we're faced with a challenge, we look inwards, and that's what I love about farming. Something else Ansela is mentioning about nutrition. A few years ago, we were eating whatever we wanted to eat. I mean, you go nyamachoma, you go do whatever. But now, since income is dwindling, we are now saying, oh, okay, actually this meat is not that healthy. Why don't we grow vegetables? Where a kid would not touch vegetables, now they're like, Dad has not brought nyama for a whole week. Well, we are telling, let's just eat these vegetables. But most importantly, and I want to point this one out, brokers have been affected. Their business has been disrupted majorly.
Because now there's a direct relationship?
Exactly, because long gone are the days when the broker would dictate the price, would come to the farm and say, if you cannot sell this broiler to me at 300 shillings, too bad, soko hakuna. Nowadays, with the invention of the mini mobile apps, forget even about the apps, it's Facebook. As basic as Facebook is, people are growing their chicken, they are posting them online, and they are getting clients online. So the broker has, at some point, either he has to renovate himself or find some other work to do. But there's still work that the government needs to do in terms of intervention. I saw a photo circulating on Twitter the other day of a sack of potatoes. It was like 2 sacks in one, and it's going for about, 1,300 shillings? Yet there are regulations that stipulates that you should not sell anything more than at 50 kg packaging. I mean, and the sales people, they are collecting sales, and they've looked at the lorry, it's full of potatoes, double sacked. I mean, these are some of the interventions we are hoping, even during this COVID season, that farmers are going to get fair share. We are just asking for a fair share, fair return on the investment.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much. And now, let's cross over the border technologically to Agnes Kirabo in Uganda. Good morning and welcome to your world, Agnes.
Oh, thank you so much, and good morning, viewers.
Okay, now to start off, just before we go into the depth of food and farming, What are people in Uganda eating at the moment? What's the diet?
It depends on the status and somebody's ability. Of course, while we are discussing how people are eating, we have to live with the fact that there are actually people who are not eating at all. So the people, of course, in the upper quartile, the 20% of the population, COVID has never done anything to them. Life is continuing just as it were. But others, of course, they had to make quite a number of adjustments. And that is it.
Okay, and so tell me about the cost of food at the moment.
By and large, the fresh foods, the prices have really floored, which is very sad. And it is threatening the food system. But for other foods, the cereals, the prices keep going up, and other nutritious foods, we have seen the poultry products also, the prices are going up. But perhaps what is holding it a bit is the fact that the demand is also equally low. So people do not have incomes, and therefore they have shifted their preferences, and that has a bit stabilized some prices. But really, for fresh foods like matoke, vegetables, the prices are very sad for farmers. It's very, very sad.
And presumably, with people, a lot of people losing their incomes and losing jobs, affording food is an issue.
Definitely, yes. Because especially to the town dwellers, the wage earners, the low-income earners, it is about hand to mouth. And this is a fact. That's why during the lockdown, the president offered to give food. The first time in the history of the life of Uganda's government offered people food that are not refugees, simply because they recognize the fact that we are living with a bulk of people who are hand to mouth. And actually, the key jobs that have been disrupted are those jobs that are offering people wages. So with no incomes, these people are going hungry. Others have offered to go back to the villages where they migrated so many years ago, thinking that things are better in the cities.
And so what's the impact on children? Because usually they're the ones who are affected the most when there is a shortage of food.
We have conducted a study as my organization in partnership with Twaweza East Africa during the lockdown to really establish how COVID-19 was taking toll to livelihoods and food security. And we found out that, unfortunately, by the declaration of a total lockdown, only 48% of the people had food stocks that could last them at least a week. And we're in a lockdown for months. And those that never had anything to start with. So we realized through our study that actually 55% of the population ended up reducing the number of meals they would serve themselves to one meal. And around 50% of the population went ahead and even reduced the sizes of the meals they are serving. What was very saddening to children is that 39% of respondents actually reported reducing the size of the meal that they were giving children. And we again got more concerned that 27% of children, at least during the lockdown in Uganda, went hungry. Of course, not forgetting 16% of children who spent a whole day. Can you imagine a child spending a whole day without taking anything? So whereas we cannot measure malnutrition now as an outcome of what is happening, we are very, very worried of the future population that COVID has taken toll on in as far as how they have been fed and how they continue being fed.
Okay, thank you for that. Stay on the line for us while I cross over to Stella. Now, let's talk about nutrition for a moment. And there is a shortage, a huge shortage of lemons in this country. What is going on?
I think that is probably a question that maybe the farmer would partly answer, but I think one of the reasons for this fruit that I know some time back was not as common is because we have now realized how important it is. Lemon is a great source of vitamin C. It's a great source of antioxidants. And we know COVID is coming with maybe some symptoms like sore throat as a side effect. So one of the reasons why I believe lemon is almost, going off the market, and there's a lot of competition, and some lemons that are looking a bit not like lemons, but well, they look more like oranges. But I think one of the reasons is because people have realized how important this is, and the fact that COVID is what we'd call a respiratory condition that comes with stuff like sore throat, there's compromised immunity. The nutrition in this small fruit is extremely important, and I think that's why it's almost like quote-unquote gold nowadays, and almost not easy to find in the market.
Okay, yeah. And I know that Caleb wants to say something about that as well.
Actually, the main reason, okay, and I like Stella's, and whatever reason is it's awesome, the need for vitamin C. The main reason why we don't have enough lemons in this country rather, is because Kenya is not a lemon growing country. We have overlooked lemon farming. We mostly will go for fruits like oranges, like bananas, like avocado. So, and look at Kenya, the way it's divided. Lemon farming, lemons will not grow in every zone. There is what you call an agroecological zone that will best suit lemon farming. So, globally, people are demanding lemons. In the country, everybody now say, okay, let's go lemons, but there are few producers of lemons. Let me give a very funny example. It's like today, the CS for Health says, actually the cure for COVID is mira, chewing mira.
We will look for it.
We will look for it, but sadly, only certain regions in this country can grow mira or mogoka. You cannot grow mira in Mombasa. So there's an upsurge of demand, but few areas can produce that particular crop. So right now, even if we were told for the next, God forbid, the next 1 year, we'll have to eat lemons grown from Kenya, you cannot grow lemons in some parts of the country. They will not do so well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, Stella, obviously the Ministry of Health told us that, look for lemon, look for fresh ginger, and, it's one way of, helping you to keep COVID at bay. Let's talk about immunity for a moment. In your view, what are the best foods to strengthen our body's immunity?
Yes, so the general rule that we normally talk about, if you want to boost immunity, or at least to support the immune system to work as optimally as it's supposed to, fruits and vegetables have to be the main part of your meal. And that is every meal, yeah? So your fruits and your vegetables. And when you're talking about vegetables, the greener the vegetable, the more it will have the nutrients that are more effective in boosting immunity, like vitamin C, like selenium, and vitamin E as well, which is another key one. So when we are talking generally, fruits and vegetables should be your rule of thumb if you're looking to improve immunity. Protein. Now, in fact, in front of me, I have a whole meal. So if you were to talk about how you can,
take us through that.
Yes, so if you're talking about how you can cost effectively boost your immunity and, work on your nutrition, these are eggs. There's a mineral called zinc and selenium. They're very effective in immunity or immune boosting or supporting the immunity to work as effectively as it's supposed to. So eggs are a more affordable source of protein, because not every family in this country can afford meat, or what is more healthy, which is the white meat. So if you cannot afford chicken meat, I think an egg would be more affordable. And I know one egg at the moment is retailing at around 12 shillings. So with an egg, this is sukuma wiki. I know our staple in Kenya is ugali, sukuma, and a protein, yeah? So right here, I have a whole meal. I have my flour. I know that's a bit white. I don't know whether you can see it properly, but this is ugali flour, maize flour, that is. I have my sukuma wiki here, which is packed with, again, the vitamins we are talking about that are very crucial in immune function, like vitamin C, vitamin E. What we, however, need to understand about green vegetables, if you overcook them, you kill a lot of the vitamins that you actually need for immunity. For instance, vitamin C and vitamin E, they are highly reactive to a lot of heat. So if you're overcooking your green vegetables, you are going to lose more vitamins in the cooking process even before they get into your body. So green vegetables are great. They're a source of the vitamins we are talking about and minerals to boost your immunity, but please do not overcook them. Also, do not add water to it. I know our kienyeji vegetables, a lot of times we add water and then we pour out the water, yeah? If you do that, your water-soluble vitamins will go down the drain. Because they are water soluble, they dissolve in water. So I would advise that if you're cooking your green vegetables, clean them before you cut them. Don't cut them too much because there's what we call mechanical damage of vitamins, yeah? And also when you're cooking them, as I have said, cook with low heat and for as shortest time as possible. I think when we are cooking our vegetables, we are basically trying not to be quote unquote rabbits. So you're trying to eat what seems like a cooked food, like a cooked meal, but do not overcook it. Yeah, otherwise you spoil the vitamins before they get into your system.
Okay, Stella, let me hold you for a moment on that before you continue with the rest of the of our diet, and let me come back to you, Agnes, in Uganda. Now we know that nutrition goes hand in hand with agriculture, and there's never been a time as important as now in terms of boosting agriculture. How has the Ugandan government performed in supporting this sector?
I think first and foremost, even to the worst situation, there are opportunities in it. Personally, I'm happy that at least COVID-19 has proved more than ever the relevance of our food system, the relevance of our agriculture sector, and the relevance of food itself and how people should eat it and also respect it and promote it. For that one, I'm happy. First and foremost, the first policy step that the government of Uganda took in history is to accept that they have a duty to feed Ugandans even when we are not at war. I think for me, that was a very strong policy precedent because we have been telling governments in Africa that the right to adequate food, they have a duty to that to ensure that their people are feeding adequately. Secondly, we are still hopeful that we are going to see significant improvement because our national budget for the financial year 2020-21 is still under negotiation now. We haven't yet had an approved or an agreed upon budget. And the only challenge to that was we and other stakeholders were contesting the amount of money that had been allocated to agriculture, the jump-starting sector of the economy. And we saw an adjustment also during those conversations, adjustments in the enterprises because the government has prioritized enterprises that are going to promote for agro-industrialization, the vision that we are carrying for the next 5 years as our development plan. But we saw adjustments again within the government circles to include the neglected aspects like vegetables, like pumpkins and some fruits that were not priority then at designing before COVID-19. But we have also observed within other government circles in the sense of food and nutrition, the development of the Uganda Nutrition Action Plan Generation 2, and also the development of towards the zero hunger strategy for the country. Something significant that is coming out is that we are accepting to include a strategy on indigenous, diverse, and food-dense, nutrient-dense foods as part of our country strategies. It has long been seen because we had followed that wheelbarrow of commercialization and so on and so forth. So we are yet to see these all indications. We are really yet to see whether actually government and its institutions are going to walk the talk and they don't forget so fast. our biggest worry in my organization that we are likely to forget so fast and move on, because the previous address we received from the president, he did not mention anything about food. And for me, we are very, very worried that he might have forgotten, and the people around him might have thought that the partial release of the lockdown, I think might give them a thinking that all is well, and they move on very fast to go back in their old normal. And yet we are still, and we are going to continue moving into the new normal, where food is playing a very, very significant role than it has ever played before.
Really passionate about food and food security. I'll come back to you in a moment, but I want to turn to you, Caleb. People listening to you and this season that is good for your business and thinking it's been rosy. And I know it's not been a very easy journey. Could you share some of the challenges you've gone through?
I think one of the challenges, let me talk about what people are going to encounter, because that's what I encountered. One is finances. Where do you get money? We thought for you to get into farming, you must have capital. You must need, say, 2-3 million shillings to buy land. So for years, I didn't get into farming because I was waiting until the day either the bank is going to approve my bank loan or I'll get a few savings and I'll buy land. But then I remembered what my dad used to do, my mom rather used to do. She would actually lease land back in Nyeri, in Odaya, and we would pluck tea. I mean, I know how to pluck tea, but we never owned land. So to date, I don't own any piece of land under my name. I've been farming for 10 years. So I lease 1 acre for 10,000 shillings.
Right? A year?
A year. And there are places probably to be 15 or 20,000 shillings, but that's the going rate. So the introduction or that concept of you can actually lease land, you don't need to own the land. And I like what the boy said, this from one guy who said, he asked his father, can I use this piece of land? So that for me was a major challenge. The other challenge I encountered was actually my bloated expectations. And many people are getting into agriculture because you read a blog, you read somewhere where you're going to make all the money. So I was penny-wise and pound-foolish. I got into investments that if I look back right now, I'm like, what was I doing? Who made me get into that? Because there was too much hype. I tell people, before you get into it, go to a fellow farmer. Someone is not going to hype the numbers for you, because some of it is just massaged for people to get numbers. Anyone who is hyping, say, dairy farming, oftentimes ask yourself, where are they in the value chain? This guy is probably a breeder of in-calves. That's all, in-calf heifers. That's what they want to sell to you. But they're not going to teach you how do you cut your cost of production? How do you grow your own fodder sustainably? Something else was access to market. And when I say access to market, it's not the traditional physical market we go to. You can walk in there, but then the minute you get there, there's a broker who is dictating the prices. And that's why I said, let me move away from the traditional market and try and capitalize on what's up on social media. Your client is the next guy who is following you, is the guy who looks at your tweets, the guy who...
You're selling directly?
I sell directly. I've never gone to a physical market because the first batch of chicken I tried to sell, a broker came to the farm with this motorbike and it has a cage. And he told me, kuku ni 300. I looked at him like, brother, the cost of production for one chicken from day 1 to 5.5 months is 420 shillings. I've done my math. You want to buy a 300 bob? Then he said, but even if it's tunanunua, that's the acceptable psychological market price. Take it or leave it. Because farmers in the village, they haven't done their cost of production. So for them, if they sell 10 chicken, that's 3,000 shillings. Today, if you give my shosho back in Mukoroini, Wakaruno, 3,000 shillings, that's a lot of money. You take a cab to the local shopping center. But there's need also for the farmer to also do the math, crunch the numbers. Is it making business sense? It's not as rosy as some of us probably would make it appear.
Oh, okay, and just before we resume our meal with Stella, you've had failures. Can you talk about starting and stopping and failing and standing up again?
I have failed so many times. I woke up one day and 800 chicken were dead because I bought feeds from the wrong company. I have lost cows. I went into dairy farming because of peer pressure from my uncle. He told me, "Mwanaume ni ng'ombe." Let me tell you, I do not like touching cows at all, at all. People have stolen sukuma wikis from me. Imagine, Joseph, The people you have employed, once you go to market, you've harvested this portion, say a quarter, they come back to the same quarter and they'll pinch a few vegetables to go and sell. I've had just collusion from people coming to the farm to learn when I'm not there, and then they either poach my best employees, that happens a lot in farms, and just collude and steal chicken. The need to have a feel, a touch of what's going on at the farm, I can never overemphasize.
You need to be present.
Mobile farming works to a certain point. It works to the point where you hang up the phone.
Right.
That's how it works. Once you hang up the phone, whatever can go wrong will go wrong.
Okay. Yeah. Stella, to you, sorry, we interrupted our meal. We were just having sukuma wiki and eggs. Please go on.
Yes, and just follow up on Caleb's thought trail of thought. Especially for the green vegetables, it's very important for farmers to make sure that they are not harvesting too soon after spraying them with pesticides. Otherwise, we'll be feeding our people, you know, what the people will be buying from the market, what they think is healthy, but we're actually buying, you know, pesticide and chemical full, you know, vegetables that have stuff like glyphosate that we know is a carcinogen. So I think that was important. Farmers also need to use inputs that are actually healthy for the population. So I had already talked about my vegetables that are great for vitamins and minerals for boosting immunity. We had talked about my eggs that have protein, the zinc and the selenium that again boost immunity. Then we have a staple for Kenya, ugali. This is ugali flour. Now, to make the best of your ugali or maize flour, please have this milled in the posho mill, and just make sure that the person milling your posho mill is also not using the same posho mill for, you know, maize that is meant for animal feeds that a lot of times might have higher aflatoxin levels than is supposed to be taken in for, you know, for good health. So let's also take, you know, note of that. So that is a whole meal, ugali, skuma, and an egg. That is totally balanced.
Can you talk about portions? Because when we talk about ugali, we mean a serious plate of ugali. Can you guide us on this? I'm a lover of ugali, and for me, an ugali that knocks you out on a last kumbili is good.
All right. So I'll again go back to the basics of portioning, because portioning is based on, one, do you have a medical condition that will maybe require that you eat less carbohydrate? So when you're talking about understanding the basics of what a portion is, if you can do, there's what we call the hand jives, yeah? The fist size, the hand of your fist, your own. Don't look at your neighbors. Some of us might look at our neighbors that have bigger fists. Your own fist, this size is 1 serving for you. So depending on your individual requirements for energy, you can either use 1 serving, which, as I have said, is 1 fist, or you can use more than one serving, especially for people who do a lot of manual labor that will require, you know, a lot of energy. Now, for people with a condition like diabetes, for carbohydrate, you would actually need a lot less than sometimes even 1 serving, yeah, depending on how your sugars are faring. So I think that is how I would say about servings. When you're talking about maybe something like rice, 1 palm size, if I was to fill my palm with rice, that would be 1 serving. So I think that's an easy way of kind of understanding how to measure that. And then for meat, if you look at this inner part of my palm, this box part, yeah, that would be again 1 serving. Especially if you're talking of something like fish, that would be 1 serving.
Tutashiba kweli?
No, that's why I'm saying that you don't need 1 serving. Depending on the amount of work you do, you might require a lot more. For instance, if I'm just seated at home, I know right now we are working from home, right? So if you're just seated from morning to evening, I know a lot of us will say, I'm using a lot of brain work. Look, if you're not doing a lot of manual labor, you're going to gain way more if you're not doing a lot of exercise. So your serving requirements are based on whether there's an underlying medical condition, you know, even your own body size, you know, so some people, depending also, again, on also activity level, what we call basal metabolic rate or active metabolic rate. The more energy you use, the more energy you need to take in. So there's that equation and those factors you need to look into when deciding how many servings you need. But for conditions, as I've said, like diabetes, please get guidance, because the more carbohydrate you take, the higher your sugars and more uncontrolled your sugars are going to be.
Okay, Stella, I'm going to pause our meal for a moment just because we can now cross over to Moiben village in Uasin Gishu County to join Ruth Kemboi. Good morning, Ruth. Hello, Ruth, can you hear me? Good morning.
Hello.
Yes, you can hear me well. As we try to fix the connection to Ruth, let me come back to you, Agnes, in Uganda. We always used to look up to Uganda as the breadbasket of this region. It's all green, almost all weather green. Are you still a breadbasket?
To a greater extent, yes, we are. We need to assure the region that we are still on track to feeding you. So stay put. It's okay. We shall do that. But we need to. There are certain areas that we are inviting our government to look at if we are going to serve you better. And Stella has mentioned something that is very intriguing, and I thought I needed to add my voice to the food consumers and also the farmers. Any maize that is not good for human consumption is not even good for a fertilizer. That is the principle. If the maize is found to be high in aflatoxins, it is not even good for a fertilizer. Therefore, it shouldn't be given, not even to the animals. Because if you feed the animals like Carib, who is in livestock, if you give and feed animals on contaminated food, he has already given you his experience. But if they are lucky and they are resilient, they may not die, but they will carry the toxins within them, and you'll end up eating them. So please, we must keep food chain very, very clean whatsoever. And that is what we are also trying to tell the food actors in Uganda. Because true, we are the food basket, and we do not need to boast about it, but to do it with a lot of responsibility. We are urging government to organize the food system a little better. For instance, you must be able to have credible sources where, for instance, your maize is coming from. And part of the credibility, because we are dealing with an item that of mass terrorism. Food is an item of mass terrorism. That's why we are telling government it must not put the hands, the eyes, and the heart off when it is really governing the food system. The good news is that for a long time, like it has been exhibited during COVID, the Ugandan farmers, and I believe smallholder farmers elsewhere, have been the most resilient people. They have continued production, and amidst the challenges that Carib is talking about, and there is production that is going on. All what we need to do is to make sure that it is organized, it is safe, and it reaches the consumers, including you, brothers and sisters in Kenya. When it is still safe, it is adequate in quantity, but it is still adequate in quality.
Okay. Agnes, thank you. Just stay on the line there for a moment. Now, Caleb, just out of interest, what skills of journalism have you applied to farming?
Whoa, good question. I post a lot on Facebook, and you see on the comments, there's still the journalist in you. It still comes up. And I think it's mostly how I market my produce. For example, and if you go through my timeline, I have never said I am selling chicken. I have never said I'm selling goat milk, which I'm now doing goat milk. I would just post kucheza na chakula cha mtoto. That time I'm holding the goat's teeth and I'm milking. So it's the language that we're using, on social media that will attract clients to you. So I think that's one of the skills I've brought along. And also reading. I don't think there's a journalist who does not read. Research. I've been able to research thanks to my background in media and learning trends. For you to remain relevant in agriculture, and especially if you're going to be using social media, you have to be always 10 paces ahead of everybody else. You have to understand traceability, and that, thank God to what every panelist is talking about, that people now are conscious of what they are eating. Long gone are the days where you throw vegetables at Mama Mboga, she will tell you, hii kuna madawa. So even the consumer himself or herself is conscious of what they are eating, and that's why you're finding so many balcony farmers. That's why I started a YouTube channel. I'm teaching people how to make vertical gardens from the comfort of their balcony. I'm a cameraman, I'm a video editor, so journalism and agriculture, I think they are working together.
So you combine them really well.
It works very well, though I still say I'm off air, I don't want to be employed, but somehow I keep finding myself talking about media and agriculture.
Okay, thank you. I hope now we can join Ruth. Good morning. Hello, Ruth, can you hear me? Okay. Well, for some reason, it's easier to speak to someone across the border than in Mohiben, but we'll come back. Stella, may we resume our meal? Tumemaliza skuma, eggs. Let's come back to you again briefly.
Yes. So in terms of drinks that you can make at home that are effective, especially for COVID, because COVID comes with inflammation, which is why you'll find either the cells within the respiratory system are inflamed, or even your own throat, what we call sore throat. So I have the lemon we were talking about before. This is ginger. You can use it as it is, or you use it in powder form. If you're buying in powder form, please check the ingredients to make sure that what you're buying is actually more of just dried and ground garlic, and not a bunch of chemicals mixed together. Then in this container, I have cinnamon. Cinnamon is something that I know within the normal Kenyan household you might not find too often, but it's something that, especially if you're dealing with an inflammatory condition like COVID-19, or even for people who have diabetes. When it comes to inflammation, cinnamon has something called curcumin, which is a substance within it that is very effective in controlling inflammation. But if you react to cinnamon, for those who know that they have a bit of a reaction to it, just keep off. But this is something that I would encourage everybody to have in their kitchen or their pantry. So one efficient drink you can make is just take your warm water. If you're using powder, you can just add a teaspoon of powder to your glass of water. If you're using it in this form, just cut it into pieces, or just use a grater to grate it, and then you put it in a sufuria and boil it. If you're using something like turmeric, which I know I don't have here right now, but turmeric is a yellow spice that is also very effective in controlling inflammation, and also has antibacterial properties. So an effective drink for COVID times would be your warm water, add in some at least a teaspoon of garlic, not garlic but ginger, sorry, and then add in some cinnamon, and to that squeeze in the juice of 1 lemon. That is one drink you can take at any point during the day. It's going to really help to control inflammation. For persons who have diabetes, cinnamon is very effective in increasing insulin sensitivity. What that means is when you take your meal, remember there's the carbohydrate part of your meal that needs to be, the glucose. So once carbohydrate is digested, it's turned into glucose in our bloodstreams. So we need then that glucose to be removed by insulin from the bloodstream. Otherwise, we'll have a condition called hyperglycemia, which is high blood sugar. So for persons who have diabetes, cinnamon helps to increase your cell's ability to take up the excess sugar, so that it helps in increasing the insulin sensitivity to your cells, so that sugar is taken out of your bloodstream. That way you don't end up being hyperglycemic. I know the diabetics probably know what I mean by that.
And Sarah, just before, what's the value of ginger again? What's its place in the diet?
So the ginger has several components that are important for controlling inflammation when we are talking about the COVID context. So as we said, inflammation is one key symptom or common symptom with with COVID, and ginger also has antimicrobial properties. Yeah, antimicrobial properties means that if you have a certain bacteria in your system, one natural way that has been used, even by our forefathers, moving backwards on in what we call natural medicine, is using the components within ginger to control certain kinds of microbes or bacteria or, other sorts of pathogens, as we would call them. Oh. So this is something you should never, if possible, don't miss this in your kitchen. Have your lemon, have your cinnamon, I think I would call it a starter pack, okay. And then have your honey, yeah? Now, again, this is something that Kenyans are taking in concoction form. Please, farmers and people who sell honey, don't sell Kenyans, melted sweets.
Stella, hold that thought on honey.
Yes.
Because honey is sweet and we want to spend a bit of time with it. But I need to take a short break and come back to this conversation on food and farming. Your World will be right back.
Akili, 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 akili. Will you wash your hands with me? I want to wash my hands with you. Come on, I will show you what to do. Wash your hands in clean water. Wash your hands, wet them with the water. Wash your hands, now add some soap. Scrub your hands in the soap and water. Scrub above and below between the fingers too. Scrub under your nails and scrub-a-dub-a-doo. Rinse your hands in water. Rinse them clean, rinse away the soap. Dry your hands and go.
Akili, why do we wash our hands?
To wash away the germs.
Akili, what are germs?
They're like tiny little bugs on your hands and they can make you sick.
But I don't see any germs on my hand.
That's because they're so tiny that you can't even see them.
Oh wow! I want to wash the germs away. Will you wash your hands with me, Akili?
Of course!
Some have offered to take your position if you are unable to.
If I'm unable, you see the levels of emotion.
You've chosen to hold back. Is what has led people to call you a lame duck.
What leadership do they want me to give to on this matter? I've told you I don't debate. Maybe the name wheelbarrow is what brought a problem. It should have been called a food trolley. It will be remembered that we adjourned 9 times. It may look like it's a
failure.
It may adjourn 20 times even in the future. Matters of revenue, even in your own house, it's not a matter that it's a very emotive matter.
And for them to be arrested on that particular day, so that they're not able to participate.
I'm the referee. The report is going to be brought to me in the house. The appointing authority has brought the names and said, now do this. As a speaker, what do I do?
Pata smartphone mpya kuanzia 20 bob daily pekee ukilipa mdogo mdogo. Weka down payment ya 1000. Lipa kuanzia 20 bob daily kwa miezi 9. Piga star 544 hash kuona kama unafaulu kupata 4G Neon Ray Pro. Si hapo Safaricom ni yako kabisa.
Ndovu flours are fortified with vitamins and minerals to provide wholesome goodness for the whole family. Ndovu all-purpose flour makes the most delicious chapatis, mandazis and all other pastries. Ndovu is readily available at your nearest shop. Ndovu Tosha.
Breaking news from Molfix. Let's see what they're developing right now.
Pants is just for me. It really feels very comfy.
Molfix pants with anatomic fit technology. New Molfix pants, an invention from babies for babies.
You should also try Molfix.
What is she doing here?
She's coming with us.
If she's going, I won't.
We won't gain anything with the two of us fighting.
He's already here for me. Why are you going out with Carito? I saw you with her in town.
Saw us where? Ramon told me you were going with a boss.
Don't try to change the subject. Do you think it's right for you to go out with that woman?
I just ended a very complicated relationship. That poor excuse of a man has been making my life a living, breathing nightmare.
That's what I'm saying, Lashana. I don't want to see my nanny sad anymore.
I think the time has come to give myself another chance to be happy.
Along came love in association with Blue Band Peanut Butter. Are you a business owner? Sign up today to accept fast, easy and secure payments through Visa. What's more, enjoy flexible financing options for your business. Call us today on 0703 095 445.
Welcome back to Your World, and this morning we're focusing on food and farming. And I've got a panel who knows one thing or two about this area. Caleb Karuga, he's a former journalist, now a farmer, a successful one, I must add. We're also joined by Agnes Kiraboin, who is Executive Director of Food Right Alliance in Uganda, joining us via Zoom. We also have with us here in the studio, in our next door studio, Stella Kimani, who is a nutritionist who has been taking us through what we need to eat to boost our immunity. We keep interrupting that meal, which is bad table manners, but I promise we will finish that meal. We are also going to connect with Ruth Kemboy, who is a farmer in Moiben, Uasin Gishu County, to share her own experiences, as well as Lois Njoki, who is a rice farmer in Mwea and also a miller. But just before that, we asked you whether your diet or how your diet has changed as a result of the pandemic. And this is what Paul Mangemeso says. Well, exactly. Since Corona started, I don't even know the price of bread and how it looks. Okay, sawa. Tumekusikia. Vinimwale, you say, well, with this economy, any food is a diet as long as it's edible and digestible. Anything soft than a stone is fine for me. Life treats me abnormally. Tumekuelewa. Asante sana. Sajak unasema, my diet has significantly changed. I used to eat nyama twice a week, kuku at least once a week, and fruits daily. Now I eat kuku twice a week, fruit salad guaranteed every day, nyama choma on Fridays, and some pork up on Monday. These changes have seen my weight increase from 55 to 70. Wow, okay, we thought it should be coming down. Maina Nyambura Mary, you say, well, the conversation on nutrition is indeed necessary. The question to the nutritionist, and Stella I know is taking notes, is it true that ginger, garlic, and cinnamon may have negative effects on your health in the long term? Or are those fighting such just naysayers? If so, how much of them should we take? So she's taken note of that, whether garlic and ginger can be harmful to your health. So as Stella prepares, now, they say that desperate times call for desperate measures, and this pandemic has forced a lot of that, with many people losing their jobs. Some professionals have turned their cars into market stalls in order to make ends meet. Now, one of the most popular car boot markets was along the Northern Bypass. However, things have changed quite a bit in the last few weeks, leading to more losses for the traders. Brian Mushiri reports on some of the people affected by these changes.
My name is Winnie Wajiko. I'm a businesswoman at Migigo Market. We sell cabbages. Before the COVID-19, business was so good. We used to sell like one lorry every day, but nowadays we're taking like even 4 days to cover up for one lorry. Because previously they used to come with their cars and they would buy the cabbages, but nowadays it's taking a lot of time, like 4 days, and also we are selling at a very low price because when the cabbages stay for many days, we have to sell at a low price. Yeah, this one goes for 25 shillings.
Majina yangu naitwa Wadheka, wenye walikuwa wanatusaidia sana. Wao watu walifukuzwa huko nje Widsa barabarani, walikuwa wanatusaidia, walikuwa wanachukua mboga 200, 300. Hapo soko inapungua haraka na toka hiyo siku wafukuzwe, kazi imerudi chini.
Kwa majina yangu naitwa Charles Gashara na mimi ni mkaaji wa hapa Roysambu, lakini hapa tuko ni area ya Windsor roundabout, mahala ambapo tulikuwa tunauzia vitu kwa magari kutoka wakati COVID-19 ilikuja. Mbeleni, before the COVID-19, tulikuwa tunafanya makazi mengine. Kama mimi nilikuwa I'm an event organizer. I've been doing events for over 5 years. Lakini wakati COVID-19 ilikuja, makazi zetu zikawa affected sana. Hatukuwa tunapata clients, na sasa tukafunga hata zile ofisi nilikuwa nayo town, mahali ambapo client wangu walikuwa anakuja. So nikaonera ni vizuri ya kwamba sababu niko na familia, nikuja nitafute angalau unga ya kila siku hapa Windsor, na tukafanya hapa. Lakini after kitu kama miezi miwili hivi, tukaanza kuvurugwa na Kajo Nairobi, na pia na organization ya hapa Garden Estate. Wakasema ya kwamba ati tunaleta uchafu area hii, na pia hawataki soko area hii.
Kwa hii soko ya Githurai 45 Migingo, naitwa Mama Rebecca. Mimi ni muuzaji wa mandizi bichi, nilikuwa naendea upande wa Kisii nikiuza hapa kwa soko ya Githurai 45 Migingo. Na baadaye vile hii ugonjwa ya COVID-19 ilikuja, ikawa safari ya kwenda huko siwezi enda. Kabadilisha kazi nikakuja kwa nyanya, juu nyanya ndio ilikuwa inapatikana karibu. I was selling karibu crate 10 kwa siku, na kuna watu walikuwa wanauza na magari wakanipa orders, nikawa nawapelekea hizo nyanya, na kila mmoja alikuwa anachukua crate 2, na hao watu wakawa affected, wakasimamisha hiyo kazi kwa sababu hawezi uza na hizo magari. Kwa hiyo sasa saa hii naweza uza tu sanduku moja ambayo inabeba crate 2, na saa ingine haishi, na imekuwa kazi mzito kwa maana hata kwa nyumba yangu haiwezi lisha, na mimi ni mama mjane na niko na watoto wengi. Kwa hiyo siwezi kwa saa hii.
Hapa tukua tunaleta soko iwe permanent market, kwa sababu ukiona vizuri watu wenye wanauza vitu na magari ni mtu anaendea vitu zake kwa soko kila siku, alafu anauza, jioni ikifika anafunga, then kesho pia anaelekea sokoni kama Githurai ama Marigiti. Ukiangalia hapa saa hii tungekuwa na watu over 50 cars vile unaona hapa kwa hii bypass, lakini wakati huu hakuna kitu kaa hiyo.
Okay, the plight of ordinary people who have had to turn to other hustles to support their families and the challenges that they are going through. Caleb, is that a world familiar to you, car boot sales?
Yes, very familiar. I remember back in 2015 and 2016, had a farm at least in Limuru, so I would drive down all the way to Dogoto, Ikambura, to almost Kabiria before you get to Kawangware. And we were like 2-3 people at that time because COVID wasn't there. And I think what is happening is disruption. The way we look at agriculture, the entire value chain has been disrupted, from the producer all the way to even the way what the consumer is consuming. So sadly, people are kicked out from the roads. They cannot sell. I'm seeing now people have reinvented themselves, and what they are doing, they're still coming to our farms. They buy sukuma wiki, they buy spinach, but then now they're doing door-to-door deliveries. Long gone are the days when estate WhatsApp groups will be full of some funny memes, and they're still there, but people are now posting their products on those WhatsApp groups. I live in Mbakasi Estate. I am supplying honey, I'm supplying vegetables, I'm supplying fruits. So people are now doing door-to-door, and that's where the world is going. I saw in China last year, for a whole month we were there, and you see like a traditional market. But there are people on the back of their motorcycles. They're doing deliveries of fries, of chicken, of whatever. And that's where this country is going. That now the boda person is no longer going to wait until the client comes from work and takes him home or her home. Now that boda will do the morning, whatever route, but then in mid-morning, they are coming to the farm with a client. They carry vegetables and then they do door-to-door home deliveries. That's where the country is going.
Okay, and just briefly, when you're doing car boot sales, was it profitable?
It was very profitable. I mean, because I'm selling bigger, fresher looking vegetables, 100% organic at my farm. I do not spray anything. So even the clients will be like, hey, your sukuma wiki tastes different from Mama Mboga. So of course, Mama Mboga were not happy to see me there selling more than them, but it was good at that particular time.
Okay. Yeah. Now, Ruth, good morning. I hope we can hear you well now.
Yes. I hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Ruth, we are hearing, and thank you, Zoom failed us, but we can hear you via the phone. We're discussing here with Caleb, who is doing, his business is going well as a farmer, but I gather that from where you are, things are a little bit challenging for farmers in Western Gishu and other parts of the country.
Yes. My name is Ruth Kemboy. I'm a farmer and also the chairperson of Kenya National Farmers Federation, Western Gishu chapter. And COVID has really impacted our farmers, especially when it comes to crop production and livestock. More impact on livestock because it has reduced access to animal feeds. We got these restrictions due to transport restrictions and quarantine measures. When the borders were closed, it became so tricky for us to receive the goods from other countries. We used to receive feeds from Uganda, Tanzania, and even Rwanda. But after COVID, it became so difficult for us even to reach our suppliers due to the closure of borders, and it has really affected the industry, especially when it comes to the supply of foods from Uganda and Tanzania. The effect of the pandemic has even given us a very big problem when it comes to agricultural sector, which was already suffering from even locust invasion, raising concerns of food shortage, particularly maize, which is a key staple food. It has also given us an issue of food insecurity because of the extremely severe, due to layoffs of the workers. Most of our workers have been laid off, and even getting access to the market, access to the feeds has really given us a very big problem. Another issue is the school closures. When most of the schools were closed, we used to supply our maize to most of the schools. Children not going to school anymore became also a very big problem to us, the farmers, and even the food. And also it became a problem even the children, because before that, the children used to access the food and even the nutrition. So they rely on schools to provide. So it has really become a very big problem.
So now, Ruth, I know you're a wheat farmer, but you also have poultry. How is the business of chicken for you? Is it working?
It's not working. It's not working anymore because, with COVID, it impacted the hospitality industry so much. So we could not even access the hotels we used to supply our poultry, or especially the poultry products like eggs and meat. So it became so difficult for us even to reach the market because the market is no longer there. So we really have a very big problem, especially the poultry farmers.
Okay, Ruth, thank you. Stay with us on the line for a moment as I cross over to Agnes in Uganda. What would you say about the business of farming? What's the plight of farmers in Uganda at the moment?
Just like Karab said, the challenges of smallholder farmers tend to be universal in Africa because the kind of policy environment that smallholder farmers are operating in is more or less the same. With the liberalization and opening up the agriculture sector to privatization and so on, across Africa did not prepare the smallholder farmers, and neither did the government hold on some responsibilities. So her challenges are not unique to her. Her challenges are a mirror of so many other farmers, including farmers in Uganda. And for us, that's why we are advocating that the smallholder farmers need a conducive environment that inclusively support them to transform an environment that doesn't make farming and food production a burden to a farmer, just as you're listening to her. They are struggling, just like Karab did, to find the money to invest, to find the land, to find the inputs, to do the actual production. The labor is very expensive, is inaccessible. And after producing, you've struggled on your own to find who is going to eat your chicken, And this is what we are talking about. That, once farmers, the calibers of this world, have done all of that, the state, the government have to take some bit of responsibility because COVID has taught us, has reminded us that national food security, national food and nutrition security is a state duty. So Bambi, her challenge, I sympathize with her, just like I have been doing for the rest of the farmers in the region. I think they haven't gotten the support that is commensurate to the work they are doing in the economy to keep our countries not only food secure, but also stable. And Joseph, I have said this over and over again. There is no amount of security ammunitions that can stop a hungry population from causing a crisis or causing an insecurity. So this is where we need to appreciate it from. And we support these farmers because they have played painfully that role for a very long time.
Okay, Agnes, thank you. Stay on the line for us. Let me see if we can resume our meal with Stella. Now, we were talking about honey. There's a lot of discussion about honey, what's good, what's bad, what's good quality, etc. So first of all, the importance of honey in our diet.
Yes, so honey has antibacterial properties, but when it's boiled, like some people do, there are people who boil it and mix it with molasses and melted sweets and all sorts of things. When you do that, you kill the antibacterial properties of the honey. So it's important to take honey in its raw form. Have, go to a beekeeper, just take the honey in its natural form without any kind of alteration. I hope we can only trust that whatever is available in the supermarket is actually not adulterated. And I think, as it was mentioned, with the food system, a lot of trust is needed. We need to be, as consumers, we need to be able to trust that the farmer is feeding us with, healthy stuff that is not causing us disease, and the government needs to support the farmer as well in making sure that they're getting the right inputs, so that we're also not using chemicals, as was earlier mentioned, and feeding people with chemicals. So honey is important, and it would be the last completion to our health drink, yeah, in addition to our ginger, our lemon, and the water, plus cinnamon. Honey is a better sweetener than sugar, because sugar increases inflammation. As we mentioned, COVID is a condition that comes with a lot of inflammation. So we want to be using something that is not making the disease worse. And honey would be the best choice for those who need to sweeten. And a question came up on the long-term effects of using, I think it was garlic, cinnamon, and ginger. Now, that depends. And the reason why that depends is there are people who choose to use garlic and cinnamon and ginger in capsule form, in supplement form. Now, if you're using something in its supplement form instead of its raw form, of course, what is in one small tablet is going to, you're getting a high dose of a substance in a very small tablet. So anything that you take in, whether natural or whether otherwise it would be healthy, if you're taking it in higher quantities than what is necessary, it is definitely going to cause you negative side effects. So I would advise people to be careful and seek advice first before using cinnamon, garlic, and ginger in supplement form. There's a second category of people who blend a lot of things. There's this craze of juicing. So people are blending a lot of stuff. Like, you'll find one glass of juice will have a whole bunch of sukuma wiki in it. It will have this whole bunch of carrots in it. You're going to, again, to add the garlic. Now, that changes from a health drink to a concoction. And the reason why that is very dangerous is you're feeding your system a concentrated amount of vitamins and minerals in a very short amount of time. And the body will take what it needs, but unfortunately, it's also going to have a negative reaction because you fed it more than it requires, right? So for people who do juicing, be careful with what you're adding to your juicing. Add a lot of water to it, and also don't use too much of these substances in one drink. That is how you get negative effects of it. Now, for these two, again on the side effects, this is garlic, this is ginger. For persons who have blood clotting problems, so if you're on what is called blood thinners, you need to be very careful with these two, because these two are natural blood thinners. So if you have a problem with clotting of blood, these are two substances that I would be very careful with, because if you're on a medicine like warfarin, it's supposed to make your blood thin, but also these two will make your blood thin, which means that if you get into an accident, then there would be danger of you overbleeding. So if you have a special or not even special, if you have any particular medical condition, always seek guidance before using herbs or any types of food in high quantities.
So yes. with what you're holding in your hand and what you're saying, for the two conditions that we mentioned, diabetes and hypertension, any problems there?
Now, there are people who, for these two, I don't expect any adverse problem. In fact, for garlic has been used in natural medicine to lower cholesterol levels. And we know that for persons with cardiovascular conditions, cholesterol is, an often problem that can cause the blood vessels to start thinning as it deposits on the walls of the blood vessels. So this is something I would say would actually help somebody with hypertension. But remember, there's somebody who could be diabetic, they also have hypertension, and they also have kidney issues, yeah? So if you have that kind of a combination, again, seek help, seek advice, because again, high mineral content for persons who have kidney issues, it becomes problematic. But if you're hypertensive, there's one thing there's a group of minerals that can really help you, because when you're talking about blood pressure, it can either be high or low. So there are 2 minerals that control that, and that is sodium and potassium. So if you have hypertension, which is persistently high blood pressure, then potassium is very important for you because it's going to help keep that blood pressure lower. So where do you get potassium? Your avocados, right now they're in season. Your pumpkins, waru, potatoes, great source, sweet potatoes as well, and your green vegetables. So if you have hypertension, green vegetables, avocado, any types of potatoes are a great option for you.
Okay.
Yes.
Stella, before we move on to what's on your right hand, I want to come to Farmer Caleb. Your thoughts on honey and bee farming?
Beekeeping has been looked at or perceived as an old man's trade. Only people in the villages who have forests are going to hang their log hives on top of the trees. And most ladies will also say, I can't get into beekeeping because, I'll be stung by the bees. It's sad that Kenya is a net importer. We import 67.7% of the honey we consume in Kenya. It's imported. And some of these people who are producing...
Where does it come from?
Tanzania is one of our largest, or whatever, we import from Tanzania. So the conversation around beekeeping has now to change because people come to my farm for training and then they see I have a beehive. They will tell me, are you not afraid the bees will sting you? And like there's a note saying, if you want to gather honey, don't kick over the beehive. So as long as I am not disturbing the bees, they will not come and attack me. So there's need now for as many farmers as possible, especially people who come from arid and semi-arid regions. Beekeeping does very well because rarely would you keep livestock or crop farming. So we need to look inward right now, but the need for traceability, I cannot overemphasize that. And probably there's an idea, I'm about to sell an idea on TV right now. Anyone who's going to come up with a gadget, be it a litmus paper, that if I go to the market and I tap on the vegetable, I dip some solution, and it will indicate red or blue or whatever, it will show me that these vegetables are laden with chemicals. That person will be the next billionaire because consumers now, I want to see traceability driven by the consumer now, not hoping that the benevolence of the producer or the farmer, he will make sure that he's applying good products. It has to be driven now by the consumer. That will be a game changer.
Okay. Yeah. There's a tip for you if you're looking for billions. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back with more on Your World.
Heaviness and a burning inside, it could be heartburn.
Indigestion and heartburn? Eno gets to work in 6 seconds and works on the 6 symptoms of heartburn so you can keep living life non-stop. Eno, fight heartburn and indigestion fast.
Kenya has many renewable resources that include solar, wind, geothermal and hydropower. It, however, mainly relies on hydropower with the existing capacity barely able to keep up with demand for electricity. What's the energy sector performance amidst a devastating pandemic? What is the future of sustainable energy? And subsequently, what is the role of various stakeholders in the energy sector? On Thursday, 20th August 2020, the Nation Media Group will hold a live virtual Nation Leadership Forum from 7:30 p.m. on NTV. With the help of a panel of experts, it shall delve into the energy sector landscape and look at what the future holds for it. Nation Leadership Forum. Engaging society, impacting the nation.
This is Fact Finder from the BBC.
They speak about Ebola. You may see people there saying that it is a business from outside these countries.
We'll tell you how misinformation is keeping Ebola patients away from clinics and driving the numbers of infection.
How did Nigeria go polio-free for 3 years? We went digging for the facts.
And former Ghanaian President Jerry Rawlings recounts his experience as a victim of fake news.
And we also tell you how social media posts saved a sick giraffe in a Kenyan game park.
Unirank, a leading international higher education ranking body, ranks St. Paul's University in the first position amongst its peers. Private universities, third position overall in Kenya. St. Paul's University congratulates its students, staff and council for this monumental achievement.
East Africa is transforming, and so is the East African. Cultural, social and economic integration is resulting in the transformation of the East African region. To stay true to this changing perspective, the East African is also transforming. To understand the region, get your copy of the East African. It's now more diverse, more visual, and more engaging. The East African, understanding the region. Are you a business owner? Sign up today to accept fast, easy and secure payments through Visa. What's more, enjoy flexible financing options for your business. Call us today on 0703 095 445.
Welcome back to Your World. This morning, our focus is on food and farming. And with me on this discussion is Caleb Karuga, who is a former journalist and now is a successful farmer. We also have all the way from Uganda, Agnes Kirabo is the Executive Director of Food Right Alliance. And Stella Kimani, who's with me right in our next door studio. She's a nutritionist taking us through what is good for our bodies. Ruth Kemboi is a farmer in Moiben village, Uasin Gishu County. She joins us via telephone. And also Lois Njoki, who is a rice farmer and miller in Mwea. We'll be joining her in a second. But first, talking about Mwea and Meru, farmers in Meru County have been urged to embrace modern technology in farming, as the use of drones to spray crops is said to be cost-effective and time-saving compared to manual labor. Adoption of technology in the country is still low, a factor that has been blamed for the dwindling agricultural production.
Speaking while demonstrating the use of drone to farmers in Buri, sub-county of Meru County, agronomist Nicholas Sang said the use of drones to spray herbicides and pesticides on weeds and crops, as well as fully embracing technology, is the only way a farmer can reduce cost of crop production and increase yields.
Advantages ni kwamba inaenda height yenye unataka, inaweza spray hata mashamba madogo madogo. Na inatumia technology ya ULV, yani ultra low volume device, ambaye pia kwa ndege inatumia.
In the past, farmers have faced challenges in weed, pest and disease control, and the most recent one, invasion of locusts. Most farmers did not know what to do when the destructive pests arrived.
Teknolojia ya kutumia drone, hiki ni kitu inaenea kwa hewa, haikanyangi. Kwa ile wastage tulikuwa naye kwa mimea yetu, with this new technology haitakuweko.
Under the Big Four agenda, the government seeks to improve efficiency on the farms and in turn increase production, and farmers have been urged to adopt technology in order to make this a reality. Judith Cherono, NTV.
Okay, let's stay in that part of the world and join Lois Njoki. Good morning again and welcome to Your World. Habari ya Mwea?
Mzuri sana.
Okay, sasa wewe ni mkulima, tuambie kuhusu kilimo, biashara ya kilimo ikoje kwa sasa? Lois, unanisikia?
Sikupati vizuri.
Okay, niongeze sauti kidogo. Kuhusu biashara ya kilimo, ikoje sasa?
Naitwa Rose Joki Jage. I am the founder and director of Top Grade Rice Millers Mwea in Kirinyaga County, Gurubani, located along Makutano Embu Highway. Mimi ni mwanabiashara wa kulima mchele, bado mimi nashiaga mchele.
Biashara inaendeleaje?
Kwa saa hii biashara si mzuri kwa sababu tangu COVID pandemic ianze imeaffect business sote. Pia sisi kama wakulima na watu wa kuuza mchele sikupati.
Endelea, tunakusikiliza kuhusu biashara ama kilimo.
Okay, kwa kilimo saa hii ndio tumeanza kupanda kama 2 weeks time tumepanda na mchele inaendelea vizuri kwa sababu tuko na maji. But pande hii ingine mimi ni mkulima wa mbondi na pande hii ingine mimi ni mwanabiashara kulima mchele ya njua kali. Pande ya njua kali ndio hatuja panda but tutapanda this week.
Sasa
hiyo ingine ni kuhusu
unaposema biashara si nzuri sana, ni kwa nini?
Kwa sababu ya COVID pandemic imeaffect biashara sana, kwa sababu kama shule asikuri mchele, watu hawaitisi mchele, watu wamefutwa kazi. Kwa hivyo hata sisi hatushiagi kabisa. Compared na last time hatushiagi kabisa. Wakati hakukuwa na COVID, hakukuwa na shida, tulikuwa tunauza vizuri, tunashiaga mchele mzuri, lakini kwa saa hii hatushiagi mchele na bado hatuuzi, hakuna customers.
Na watu wengi wa Nairobi wanakuja sehemu za Mwea kutafuta mchele. Si midhani biashara ingekuwa nzuri, watu wanakula mchele sana.
Hawakuji kutafuta kwa sababu hakuna pesa. Wale walikuwa wakitununulia hawakuji kununua. Sana sana hata tulikuwa tunanunuliwa na wapita njia wakienda Embu Meru, hawapiti. Pia supermarket watu wamesimamishwa kazi. Biashara imekuwa ngumu sana, hakuna pesa.
Kwa hivyo sasa unafanya nini?
Kwa saa hii tunashiaga tu pole pole. Kabla COVID ikuje tulikuwa tunashiaga kama 60 tons to 80 pande. Saa hii hata kuna siku zingine hata hatushiagi. Tukishiaga tunashiaga 10 ama 20.
Lakini kwa hivyo wateja ndio hampati wateja, customers hawapatikani?
Hatupati wateja, hatupati kabisa. Kuuza mchele imekuwa ngumu sana na kuna kazi ingine tunajua tu kuuza mchele.
Na sasa Mama Njoki, tumeona vile watu wanatumia ndege kufanya hiyo spraying kwa mashamba yao. Mambo hayo yamefika huko uliko?
Sisi tunataka tusprayiwe hizo ndege mwezi wa 10 ndio sisi kule hiyo mchele yetu. Kwa hivyo sisi tunangoja na tumeona serikali ikifanya hivyo, ndio tunawauliza hata wakati huu this time round wa spray hizo ndege.
Haya, asante, subiri tutarejea tena baada ya dakika chache. Now let me come to you, Ruth, in Moiben. Now in terms, there's almost very little money circulating in the economy. People say they don't have money. How is that affecting you? Are people able to come and place orders at your farm?
No orders now. So most of our clients are usually the elderly, and those are 65 plus, and those are the people who have been affected by the social distance. They hardly go to town, and mostly those are the people who are financially stable. So those are the people who ever go to town, they eat properly, they go to good hotels, and they buy our products, especially the poultry products. But since COVID-19 started, it has become a very big problem. First, the problem of reduction of passengers and vehicle use in public transport due to rise of fares. tried by the operator. So these older people even hardly go to town, and those also have been major customers. Those are the people who are stable financially, and they are the people who want to eat in town. They are not like the hustlers who go to town and eat in the streets. These are the people who go to big hotels. They order for poultry, they order for chicken and ugali, chicken and chips. But we hardly get those customers now because most of those customers stay at home. So we hardly get orders now. Even we kept keeping broilers because broilers were the moving parts chicken. So we are just keeping the kienyeji now. We take some time to be ready. And even those ones which are ready don't have markets. So we really have a lot of problems.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ruth. Agnes, a quick question for you. With very little money circulating, I'm sure Ugandans too are affected. Is the ordinary Ugandan able to afford a balanced diet on their table?
You see, when the situations become hard, then people start eating food and not eating nutrition. That's the reality. And we do not wish to generalize. There is a high caution for eating right because fundamentally people have learned that the frontline kind of medicine or cure for COVID-19 is on the plate or is on their mug. So that consciousness is high. And therefore those that can afford, they go out and really try to balance and play around with their plates. But there are others who are trapped. By the way, achieving a balanced diet may not require quite so much. It is only that our food system was trapped and then people were schooled to eat mono or, and taking away opportunities that are within their reach to grow vegetables around their homes, to rear a few birds walking around. They are keeping empty perimeter walls all over. So this is the only challenge. But yes, the desire is high. Those that can afford to reach out to access and those that can afford to buy, but even those that have it on the farm, at least nutrition consciousness is getting high on the agenda. What is required in terms of action is how do we help people across the country that they can do some bit of production around them to diversify their meals within a minimum reach. That is where the challenge is. The desire is up. Those that are affording it, they can. And those that cannot afford it, just need to be turned around and they see the opportunities around them to do it.
Thank you, Agnes. Now, Stella, picking up from that point there, does eating right have to cost us an arm and a leg?
No. Eating healthy and a balanced meal that would keep your immunity high does not have to be expensive. If you look at the Kenyan staple diet, ugali, sukuma wiki, and a protein, the protein can be whatever is available to you. As we talked about, one egg is 12 shillings. Yeah? And I'm not saying that everybody will even be able to afford the 12 shillings. But with the staple that we are used to, githeri, yeah, you just need to serve your githeri and some vegetables. At least half the plate, try and make it vegetables. How do we access the vegetable? Urban farming, like I talked about for me, I do try as much as possible to have my pots or the water bottles from water that we buy from the shop, just cut it in half, get some soil, put it in there, get seedlings, and that is going to plant with very low maintenance or requirements from your side. So I believe that at household level, we also need to have a conversation on food security, because as much as the right to food is enshrined in Article 43 of the Kenya Constitution, how do I also as an individual make sure that I am trying my best or playing my part in my financial, in my food and nutrition security conversation? And of course, the government has its part to play, because, I mean, we have to support the farmers and also make sure that we are having a functional food system at community level and at national level. But as an individual, there is also something that we can play, and it starts with just trying to do, you know, the minimal, whatever kind of farming you're able to do. There are households that do not have income or have extremely low income. And with COVID, we've seen that a lot of people have lost jobs, or some have even been, have received pay cuts. So how do we make sure that these households are still being fed? And I think that is where the government comes in. Otherwise, we'll be talking about a very high rate of malnutrition and still have COVID. And I think disease is just the easiest route to death in a malnourished body.
Oh.
So we'll have people dying of malnutrition instead of COVID.
Oh, okay. Now, let me extend the discussion to you, Caleb. I know you're also a consultant, a farming consultant. Yeah. For the sake of that viewer who wants to pick up, who's been motivated listening to you and other people on the panel, if you want to go off into farming, and people have listened to you, just take us through briefly the steps from identifying what's an ideal piece of land, for example, to lease, and where do you start?
It's a loaded question. Hope you give me 1 extra minute. Let me start with, do you want to be a farmer? It starts from there. Are you getting to it because of the hype or because of the promise of the money you're going to make? First, understand you're not going to become an overnight millionaire, and I cannot overemphasize that. That's out of the question. Now, what crop is there that you can plant? You can plant 1,001 crops, but as a beginner, I go for, can you go fast for the basics? Sukuma wiki, spinach, managu. And I know you want to do mushrooms, you want to do broccoli, you want to do cauliflower. Those high value crops, as a beginner, you're not going to get a market because already you're beginning. So first, lock down what crops, what will be my urgent and my important. Those two are different. Land. If you don't have land, do like what I'm doing 10 years later. I'm leasing land. Have a watertight lease agreement from the...
Where is your land?
My land is in Kikuyu. All right. And there's land all over. I've been kicked out. Hasn't been easy. I've been kicked out literally with a panga in Mombasa, at least some 6 acres. So you're going to go through those challenges because I did not have a lease agreement to fall back to. So have a lease agreement at least 5 years. Do your soil test. Do a water test. Have an exit clause. In the event this guy wants to kick you out tomorrow.
What's the importance of the soil and water test?
It will tell, because some people are just putting fertilizers, just adding fertilizers, and you're messing up the soil pH. Some of the soil is too acidic, so you're planting the wrong crops. It's in the right region, but the wrong crops you're planting. Or you're putting phosphates, and your crops don't need too much of the phosphate fertilizers. Understand your market. Actually, I should have started with the market. We keep saying, anzia sokoni. Go to the market. What is in demand? Is it mushrooms? Is Mama Mboga selling mushrooms, or is she demanding for traditional vegetables? As much as you've gone on the internet and you've seen all these crops and animals you can rear and grow, what does Mama Mboga want? Then work backwards. Have a production system or cycle. The mistake I'm seeing people making, and I made it for many years, is you have 1 acre. All of it you do sukuma wiki, spinach, managu, terere, all of it at the same time. And you're going to make money, but a time is going to come when the crops now, the production cycle starts to go down. But you introduced your market to a reliable, regular supply. But then you're telling them, I'm having to uproot and replant afresh. Give me another 2-3 months. Have a production cycle so that you portion your farm into, say, 8ths or quarters. You're planting every month, you're sowing. This month you're transplanting. This month, every portion has crops at different stages of the vegetables.
Okay, let me hold you right there, just so that I can have a very quick word with Ruth. So, Ruth, as a farmer there, what is your hope or prayer for business to resume to where you were before COVID?
And my prayer is the government to give assistance package and even any social protection to our people so that they can be in a position to come back to their previous status. Because currently, most of the people actually are in their need. of especially the basic needs such as clean water, sanitation, and hygiene, which is a very big problem now. So if it is possible, I wish the government could consider the issue of assistance package or any social protection program for even the small-scale farmers, because it's becoming a crisis and they should really address this crisis. There is also this issue I don't want to forget, the gender-based violence due to economic stress in the households. So if the government could be in a position to handle this, especially in times of crisis, they could do this through the increased social package, especially the social protection package, because it has been caused by the pandemic and it's going to be a very big problem in future.
Okay. Ruth, asante sana. That's a really important observation that you make there, GBV, and also affecting farming and ordinary people. Asante sana. Thank you for joining us. Sorry we could not have you on a better line, but we hope we can invite you back again. Asante and have a good day. Now, let me turn to you, Lois Njoki, if you can hear me. What are your thoughts? What are you looking forward to? I know you have harvest, at the moment you planted rice. You're hoping to harvest in late November. Do you think business will be better in November?
Nataka kusema hatujui kutakuwa aje, but ningeomba serikali yetu itutafutie market, kwa sababu kama hapa top grade rice millers tuko na mchele mingi na hatuna market. Ningeomba serikali itutafutie market kubwa ili tuweze kupeleka mchele. Ya pili, ningeomba serikali bado iondoe mchele ya Pakistan ili tuweze kupata faida. Ingine ningeomba serikali kwa sababu ya River Dam, wamalize River Dam ili hata watu wa jua kali wale tuko na mashamba na hatuvikiwi na maji tuweze kulima na mchele iwe mingi. Saa hiyo hata tutaweza kupiga Pakistani. Maana mbishori inakuwa na bei ya juu kwa sababu si mingi sana. Kwa hivyo naona kama River Dam ingemarisiwa vizuri, tungekuwa na mchele mingi na bado hatungekuwa na shinda ya kuuza mchele.
Haya, asante sana Lois Njoki ukiwa hapo Mwea kuzungumza nasi asubuhi ya leo. Kila la heri na tukutakie siku njema. Tunashukuru sana. Let me come to you, Agnes, for your final thought very briefly as we head towards closing our program on food security and where we need to be to feed our people and to make sure that we all can eat healthy and eat right.
I just wish to assure farmers in the region that food is going to be a demanded good. It's going to remain a demanded product. We should keep heart and we should continue just being focused and doing things differently. And to other actors, all of us as people have a responsibility to ensure that we feed ourselves on safe, nutritious, and good food. And because we have that responsibility, we have to hold everybody accountable in the food system to ensure that they give us that food that we do need. And to the decision makers, the food governors, please, COVID is reminding you of your duty in governing the food system. It is only you that can create the rules of the game and ensure that the rules of the game are pretty followed and your people eat safely and eat nutritious foods. A well-nourished population is a very innovative population, is an industrious population, is a less costly population to the economy, is a desired population that every government could desire to have.
Okay.
Therefore, food first and everything later. May God bless East Africa.
Thank you very much indeed. May God bless Uganda as well, Kenya, Tanzania, and the rest of the nations. And may you have a blessed day. Thank you so much, Agnes, for joining us from Uganda this morning.
Thank you so much for hosting us. And bravo, asante sana.
Haya, karibu. Now, more on your world in a moment, but first, here's what else is happening in the rest of the world. An ultra-modern vertical farm in the middle of the desert stands as a testament to Dubai's determination to spark a green revolution to overcome its dependence on food imports. The COVID-19 pandemic, which disrupted global supply chains, has refocused attention on food security in the United Arab Emirates. Dubai, like the other 6 emirates that make up the UAE, is heavily dependent on imports, which make up 90% of its food needs, according to official statistics. Produce arrives from all over the world by air and at Dubai's state-of-the-art port, stocking supermarkets with a range that compares favorably to those of any Western capital. But in a region where geopolitical tensions with nearby Iran frequently threaten to boil over, long-term food security and self-sufficiency are key goals. Offenders with mental health conditions at a southern German hospital can look after a small herd of animals as part of their therapy. Staff at the Mannhofen Psychiatric Hospital in Bavaria say the aim is for the generally calm animals to help patients develop skills towards social reintegration. The clinic of Mannhofen specializes in psychiatry, neurology and forensic psychology. Some of its patients have been convicted by the courts and are not allowed to leave these premises except to look after the alpacas. If they leave the premises for too long or outside the authorized hours, their permission is revoked. The program centers around the 10 or so alpacas present on the clinic grounds. Was created 10 years ago, first in Germany, and its aim is to help patients to re-socialize themselves through contact with the animals every day. They feed them, they walk them, clean them, and also clean their stables. Vast soybean fields stretch across Brazil's Mato Grosso state, where the Amazon rainforest is being cleared for farming, ranching and mining. Soy exports continue to grow due to strong demand from China, while the government is under pressure to stop Amazon deforestation and forest fires after international investment funds urge the end of projects that accelerate the area's destruction. Alexander Pozobon, a soy farmer and cattle rancher, says you don't have to deforest to produce more. Today we have vertical farming technology. We can produce more in the same space. We invest in fertilization and soil fertility as well as more modern machines. Chileans enjoy the fresh air in downtown Santiago as virus lockdown measures ease, freeing 2 out of the 7 million residents in the capital after 144 days in quarantine. Pakistan reopens its restaurants, cinemas and gyms as the country's coronavirus cases drop. One resident said most of the restaurants have opened and we have a good response by the grace of God, better than earlier. All the employees and businessmen are happy with the opening and the government has ended the lockdown because coronavirus is controlled now. You know, we came out because the weather is pleasant today and coronavirus is controlled, almost finished. It has no significant effects now, but we should take care because, prevention is better than cure. One never knows about the bad times, so we have to take care of ourselves and should wear masks. Muja has lived through multiple bombing campaigns in several countries, all while never leaving a tiny pool in Belgrade Zoo for 83 years, making him the world's oldest captive alligator. While zookeepers don't know his exact hatch day, the reptile arrived in Belgrade this week in August of 1937 from a German zoo. He officially became the world's oldest captive alligator when Moscow Zoo's famous Satan, born in 1936, died in May. A zookeeper says he has a buffet at his disposal. He eats rats, rabbits, birds, fish, horse meat and beef. He also, takes care that takes care of his mineral and vitamin supplements, are in balance according to his needs. At a bustling market in the French capital, there are mixed feelings as face masks are to become compulsory. From Monday, it will be mandatory to wear face masks outdoors in crowded areas and tourist hotspots to combat a rise in coronavirus infections in and around Paris. Growing infections in and around the city have prompted officials to make face masks compulsory outdoors, also in crowded areas and tourist hotspots in the city and surrounding areas as from Monday. The mask will be obligatory for all those aged 11 and over in certain very crowded zones, said a police statement, including the banks of the Seine River and more than 100 streets in the French capital. In Vietnam's capital of Hanoi, a feline coffee house opens with a mission. Unlike normal cat cafes, Ona Nguyen Tam Binh is using it as a feline rescue center to save injured cats across the city. If your idea of the perfect day is spending it curled up with recovering rescue cats and a coffee, then one cafe in Vietnam has you covered. Gao's Home Cafe in Hanoi is a loving home for 15 felines, many of whom were abandoned or found injured after being bitten by dogs or suffering serious accidents. I try to help cats with difficult backgrounds to heal their physical and mental wounds, said 24-year-old cafe owner Nguyen Tam Binh ahead of International Cat Day on Saturday. Tumeambiwa hapo Saturday ni siku ya paka. As Beirut residents rebuild their homes and their lives more than 1 week after a gigantic portside explosion killed 171 people, injured thousands and disfigured the city, members of the animal charity Animals Lebanon are making sure that one vulnerable group is not forgotten. More than 280 volunteers have been scouring the streets of the Lebanese capital in search of animals trapped in the rubble or hiding, also tending to the injured and caring for those whose owners died once the pets are rescued or found. The NGO attempts to reunite them with their anxious owners.
The night of the explosion, we were so overwhelmed with the feeling that there's just so much to be done. And we're so small. I mean, we're a team that rescue animals, that draft laws, do education. We never imagined to be dealing with such a disaster. But the next day, when we put a call for help on social media, we got so many people saying, I want to help, how can I help? Baby, hi. Yeah, how are you today? I've never imagined that people will not come and tell us, oh, you're helping animals, not people. Nobody said that. This tragedy, it was so sad that it brought the compassion in everyone to all living beings. And this is something really beautiful. People got united on so many fronts. Most of the people affected by the blast are suffering trauma, and a lot of them even were affected prior to the blast by the economic crash. They might have lost their jobs, so they've been already depressed. So imagine then with the blast, they actually lost their home, they lost their cars, they lost their family members. So when we're reuniting them with their pets, pets have this beautiful effect on people, therapeutic effect, and these people are so happy when they're seeing that their pet is still alive. It's like they gained everything back. This guy, we rescued him from Raitem area. Well, we don't know his guardians. We don't know if they're alive, they're in the hospital, because nobody claimed him yet. But he's certainly a pet, and that's his collar. Dodo was so traumatized that after we found him the first time, he actually jumped from the balcony again. So he's staying here. He's still not eating. He's very affected. The area was very close to the blast. He's still very scared. You can see he's shaking, and some of the injuries are in his face. Dodo, I'm sorry, baby. Can we show them? His lip.
Okay, and on that cat note from Lebanon, we end our discussion today. I want to thank all my guests this morning. Agnes Kirabo, who joined us from Uganda. She's Executive Director of Food Right Alliance. We also had Ruth Kemboi, a farmer in Moiben, was in Gishu County. And we were also joined by Lois Njoki, a rice farmer in Moya. Here in the studio, we had Stella Kimani, who's a nutritionist, who's taken us through the paces of what we need to eat right. And also Caleb Karuga, who's a former journalist and now a successful farmer. If you need to get in touch with him, at Caleb Karuga is his handle everywhere on social media. You'll be able to catch up with him there. Tomorrow, now that we've eaten, we've drunk, we're fed, we'll focus on writing. The writing of blogs and journals. We'll share tips and experiences from established bloggers. So to prepare for the, for that, here's some homework for you. Please write us a short article, a short story on any topic. It should be no longer than 50 words, and you have to use the phrase, "I don't know." Share your story on any social media platform using the hashtag #NewNormal. That's our discussion starting at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. But before then, as always, join our fitness trainer 6:30 a.m. to help you start your day with a great workout from home in Tizi Nyumbani. Till then, on behalf of the NTV team here, thank you so much for spending time with us. Have a safe day.
I help women find independence by training them in fish farming. It's tough on my back, joints, and can cause headaches. Panadol Extra relieves multiple types of pain.
If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Kenya has many renewable resources that include solar, wind, geothermal and hydropower. It, however, mainly relies on hydropower, with the existing capacity barely able to keep up with demand for electricity. What's the energy sector performance amidst a